All right, so this is our software that we call Ignition. So what we're looking at right now is our lauter tun. And what we're about to go do is dose our salt tank. The way our salt tank works is we can manually fill it and stop filling it, so we can use it during mash-in, during sparge if we want. We can choose not to use it if we're going to dose just straight into the vessel itself. It fills with HLT, has a couple of propellers and a motor that keeps it all in there and rinsed, or in suspension and solution. And throughout the process, it'll pump parts of this volume during mash-in, so it'll adequately or evenly dose our salt mixture for our pH throughout the entire process.
Sure.
And then towards the tail end of mash-in, it rinses the vessel and pumps that in as well.
Interesting.
And this all just works into our mix, so it accounts for the volume and the temperature.
Yeah.
We do hand dose that, so we'll go walk over there, take a peek at that. I think Dan.
So just real quick on this screen, all these valves that are all these triangles that are right now, that's a valve.
Yep, so these
correct?
are valves.
So it's either open or closed.
Right now they're in a program setting, so the software is working on it. We can put it into an operator setting. We can control some sort of some parts of the programming with it.
This looks very similar to what I was working. Even some of the icons look similar to what I was working with on the Sonder system. And then the things that look like snail shells.
Yeah, these are all pumps.
They're all pumps. Yep.
So again, those are things that we can manually control if we need to, if we start seeing issues with, or we want to clean or run out.
Sure. And so when we say salt tank, we're talking about brewing salts. So whether we're talking about, are we talking about like gypsum, calcium chloride, anything else on that side?
Gypsum, calcium chloride, pickling lime in today's beer, sometimes just regular table salt. Magnesium sulfate. Am I missing anything, Chandler?
Anything on the
phosphoric acid?
Yeah, I was gonna say phosphoric or lactic.
Yeah, we use phosphoric. We don't use lactic very much on the brewing side. We've used it in the tail end side to try and adjust pH in like certain sour beers or certain beers that we're looking for that in. But phosphoric, we'll dose in it unless we're using pickling lime. In that case, we'll add phosphoric straight to the vessel and not into the salt tank. For chemical
reaction. So a whole separate tank for that. That's really interesting. That's really interesting. And so that's basically working in unison with your HLT, CLT as you're mashing in on batches.
Correct.
Very, very cool. How large of a vessel is that?
Maybe only like 200 gallons, 250 gallons. Sounds about right. We can go stand next to it real quick. Get some footage before we begin to mash in.
And we have time too, because that mash-in's not going to be over in 2 seconds or anything like that. So
we'll take a look and then we'll go into the mill room. I'll give the guys a thumbs up that they know that we can run it. So this is the actual salt tank that we just saw on the screen.
And so you can actually see that spindle up there is spinning. I don't know if it'll come through on the video or not. But so that's actually mixing this, and you can see, or at least at one point, you can see that there's some turbulence right here. Interesting.
So Dan, our brewer today, has already gone up and dosed it, but we just dose it in through the top, weigh out our salts, pump to help push it over. Manual valves and readings as well, so that way we can, if something goes wrong with the software, we can still do what we need to do here.
Down here, can we also catch that external calandria, or do we have to be a different place?
No. So that's just right around the corner.
So here's the quote-unquote small side of things, some of it at least?
These are just serving tanks.
Okay, serving tanks. Okay,
so technically, yes, smaller side. Typically the beer that ends up in these, we're brewing on our 100-barrel system. And we just siphon off 15, 10, 20, 30 barrels. But this is like our regular movement. So, our house IPAs, our house lagers, amber ale, the likes.
Okay, so it's external calandria. Okay,
external calandria here. Big, tall, scary piece of equipment.
And so the idea is this is drawing from underneath. For those of you that have not seen a sight glass that big before, there is one. And so this is drawing from underneath the tank over here,
Yep, follows down, and then the thermosiphon kicks in. So we do have a pump, but during the boiling process, the pump kicks off, and the thermosiphon just kind of pulls and heats through this steam jacket of this calandria.
Yeah, so it's actually the heat inside this that's driving it through this, up and through, back out into the kettle.
Correct.
Yeah. That's very slick. Very slick. I've seen some internals before. I've been to a couple places that have external, but yeah.
I'm gonna mash in. So now we're gonna walk back into our mill room as we're ready to mash in our second batch.
It is nice that you get some sun through here.
Oh yeah, no, the windows make it all that much better. We've done collaborations in breweries that are in the classic brewery setting.
Oh yeah,
the dank, dimly lit.
Well, and we're lucky we have some sun today too, because it's been few and far between lately, it seems.
Yeah, definitely a lot of overcast weather in sunny Cincinnati.
Yeah.
After you.
Okay, I'm in through here.
The lights will turn on sometime.
Dude, Golden Promise is such a beautiful malt.
Yeah.
It's just so nice. So I have many problems, but one of my problems is I haven't drank beer in maybe 3 years right now. I developed what is a pretty severe gluten intolerance or something. But yeah, one of the things that I miss is just being able to like taste malt. You know what I mean? I think sometimes people don't realize how tightly packed rice hulls can be.
Yeah, I mean, 50 pounds goes a long way.
It's nice being able to cut open a bag like that and then just turn it out into something like this.
Yeah, that's not underrated either. I've also been to other, the smaller side of production facilities where they can fit like 50 to 100 pounds in the mill at the time, and so they're just running back and forth, and milling takes hours. And
yeah,
so we're very fortunate in that aspect, whether we're milling for a large batch or a small batch, that the scale works for us.
Sure. Okay, so we have that bag of rice hulls loaded up and ready to roll. And then the fellas upstairs are going to be able to get this whole thing rolling. Correct,
yeah. They're going to hit basically just start on our lauter tun. It loads all of our recipe values into the PLC. And from there, it will take those values and pass it from vessel to vessel, each vessel having its own party logic controller. And retaining batches, or looking up the information and pulling the batch info from vessel to vessel. So if we have issues, we can always reset the vessel and either manually load the values we need, or try and get it to like automatically reload the values that we've built into the recipes, days, weeks, months before actually brewing the beer. So before I begin to open that, I'm going to let a little bit roll through.
Okay, so this has, so you have this here, and then this is a disc auger that's pulling through here. So you can see, let me block out some of the lights. There's that disc auger going through there.
I'm watching this small digital screen readout. It has our gross weight of the grist case volume. So on certain beers when...
It happens.
It definitely happens. Sometimes we get lucky and we don't have to touch this.
Okay, and now that stopped squealing because
the discs start getting more full.
Yep, the discs start getting more full, absolutely. So this is going to carry that through.
Yep, and hopefully I don't have to do too much intervention here, and it just naturally gets in there.
Sure.
But yeah, on beers that have a couple 100 pounds of flaked adjunct, it's important to be able to watch how much the volume is moving out of the grist case while you're adding. So you don't add all like 1,200 pounds in the first 2,000 pounds of grist. If you want that even spread, have a better filter medium later. But yeah, that's why it takes 2 people to run this brew house. So we've got our brew start up there monitoring our water and grain percentages. Making sure that one is not pulling too far away from the other. Now that that's done, we can head upstairs and go take a look at how it's looking.
Sounds good.
Take a look at how.
So this is taking out. So this obviously has product going through it, and then this is empty on the way back.